What's up, everyone? It's your favorite YouTube certified gunsmith, The Uncouth Truth, and I'm here with a follow-up video to one that I did about 2 weeks ago regarding I'm going to go ahead and call it a defect at this point in the CZ Scorpion firing pin block, and that's right here at the bottom of the bolt. So I sent this off the day after I made that video to CZ. I don't know why they made me send it off. It would have been a lot easier if they just sent me the damn replacement part, but whatever. They felt the need to inspect the bolt. And anyways, it is fixed, and you can see on the new one that it is slightly elevated off of the bottom of the bolts versus the old one, which was not. Again, this is a pretty obvious case of defective milling in the firing pin block. But I tried to finagle some information out of the representative that I spoke to. Now, keep in mind that this guy, even though he works the phones in the warranty department at CZ, he's not some higher up or anything like that. So I kind of went in there with low expectations, and lo and behold, that's kind of what I got. I did pressure him to answer a few questions, and I asked him if he'd seen an uptick in this kind of defect in the bolt, or if he'd seen a lot of a rash of repair requests for it. And according to him, no. He told me that this is the first one that he had done. Now, this is, of course, probably about a week after, because I called to follow up with to see what the status of this was, and that's when I started kind of hammering him with these questions. And this was also after I dropped that first video. So according to him, it was news to him, and he didn't know that there was any kind of defect or anything like that. Whether or not he was telling me the truth, I don't know. But according to what I've seen, there is quite a few people who are experiencing this issue. And at this point, I got to say, if they are willing to fix it, then that tells you that there's a problem, obviously. And there is definitely more than just me out there with this issue. So hopefully, maybe in the future, CZ will address it. My personal opinion, I think that probably the more honorable business practice would be to tell all your customers that, hey, you may want to check and make sure that this thing is functioning. And if it isn't, we'll go ahead and send you the replacement part. That if I was CEO of CZ USA, that's what I would do. But I'm not. I'm just some fucking guy. What I want to do in the next portion of the video, I want to answer in depth some questions and perhaps alleviate some concerns that a lot of people have, especially those of you out there who have binary triggers. A lot of folks said were commenting, and they're pretty damn worried about it. And I don't want to understate the problem, but I don't want to overstate it either, if that makes any sense. So if you're firing just regular semi-auto, you're not bump firing, you don't have a binary trigger or anything like that, do you have anything to worry about? My personal opinion, absolutely not. The reason is because in order for an out of battery function to occur, out of battery detonation to occur, that hammer has to be moving pretty goddamn fast. Now, that's not impossible it's not impossible, and you don't have to be Jerry Mitchellek in order to make that happen. I did speak to one person, and of course, keep in mind that this is just some fucking guy on the internet who had a out of battery detonation. According to him, he was shooting a pretty rapid firing schedule, shooting steel, and anyways, he said that he had an out of battery detonation, and that it wasn't bump fire, it wasn't binary, it was just regular semi-automatic fire. Whether or not he's telling the truth, I don't know, because I didn't have his gun in front of me to inspect it myself, so I can't say that for certain, but I find it pretty unlikely in a semi-auto, but it certainly is possible. To be honest with you, my primary concern to get this fixed would be because if it hit a hard fall or something like that, and this is in battery with a live round in the chamber, and this isn't working, and for some reason that hammer slips off the sear, then that means that gun's going to go bang. Now, that would be my primary focus. So it's not one of those things where it's an emergency that you got to get it fixed right away and not use your gun until then. No, if this isn't working, go ahead and use your gun. Nothing's going to happen. It's just one of those things that you got to get fixed whenever you get around to it. Now, if you do have a binary trigger in your gun, yeah, I probably wouldn't use that function until you got this fixed. And even if it isn't working, you are firing in binary, odds of it happening are pretty low, but they're not so low that it can't happen to you, because at some point probably will. Now that said, if you have a binary trigger, do you trust this to stop an out of battery detonation? In my personal opinion, now granted I'm not CZ, I would say absolutely not. You have nothing to worry about, and that's only because if this is working properly, in order for this has to be completely seated home, and whenever it's seated home completely against the back of the chamber, then that means that the bolt is positioned directly above a lever in your trigger pack. And if the bolt is moved just slightly to the rear, then that means that lever is just tapping on the bottom of the bolt. And that means that if that hammer strikes it and it's not quite seated all the way home, then that means that it's probably not going to fire. So that's just my personal opinion, of course, and the only reason that I'm unwilling to commit to an absolute statement is just because I don't have enough information in front of me. I don't work at CZ. I don't see enough of these cases. I'm not at the armorer's counter watching what's going on. So that's the only reason I'm unable to commit. But me personally, I would say that you have nothing to worry about if you have a binary and that is functioning correctly on your bolt. Bump fire, I'd say the same thing. Bump fire seems kind of stupid to me, but whatever, subjective, I guess. Do you have something to worry about if you're bump firing? I would say no, not if that's working. So I hope that kind of answers some of those questions. Ultimately, I guess the bullet point that I want you to take home, if you're just shooting this regular semi-auto, get it fixed when you can. If you are shooting binary, something like that, it's pretty important that you get it fixed, because it very well could happen that you have the left side of the receiver blow out, and God knows you don't want that happening. Outside of that, if you have any other questions about my experience, I'd be more than happy to share that as much information as I can. And as far as what I told you so far, again, I'm just some fucking guy on YouTube. So I do not work at CZ. So I do have that handicap, but I will certainly do my best to answer the best way that I can any questions that you have. So again, thanks for watching.